video will examine the behaviorist and humanistic philosophies of adult learning. During this video, please reflect on the following analysis questions. What are the behaviorist and humanistic perspectives of adult education? What are the origins of the behaviorist and humanistic philosophies? What is the role of the learner and the teacher from a behaviorist and humanistic perspective? What teaching methods are advocated from a behaviorist and humanistic approach? And what are the criticisms of the behaviorist and humanistic philosophies? From a behaviorist perspective, the objective of adult education is to bring about behavior that will ensure survival of the human species, societies, and individuals. Behaviorism focuses solely on observable actions and contends that learning takes place when there is an observable change in behavior brought about by the connection between stimuli and observable responses. In the behaviorist tradition, education is a process whereby desired behaviors are promoted through rewards or positive reinforcement, and undesired behaviors are extinguished through punishment or negative reinforcement. Behaviorism has its roots in the early 1900s with the work of Russian experimental psychologist Ivan Pavlov and American psychologist John Watson. By refining and expanding their studies, B.F. Skinner was the driving force behind the spread of behaviorism within North America. The learner's role in behaviorism is active rather than passive, and the responsibility for learning lies primarily with the learner. The role of the teacher is to design an environment that elicits desired behavior and to extinguish behavior that is not desirable. Competency-based education programs incorporate the behaviorist philosophy as they specify the goals and objectives to be met, the learning experiences students are to be engaged in, and the method of evaluation used to measure the goals. Competency-based education programs use criterion-referenced evaluation measures, which compare the learner's progress or accomplishments to a fixed standard or criterion of mastery. Programmed instruction and computer-assisted instruction are also commonly preferred by those who have adopted a behaviorist philosophy of adult education. The chief criticism of behaviorism is that it doesn't take into account the complexity of learning. There may be more than one kind of behavior to indicate that learning has occurred, and learning outcomes are not always measurable. Behaviorism has also been viewed as dehumanizing, lacking in concern for the learner, and inhibiting creativity. Humanism places emphasis on personal growth and self-actualization, and it's centered on the needs and desires of the learner. The focus of adult education from this perspective is on the individual learner, rather than a body of information. Humanism recognizes the affective domain, including emotions, attitudes, and feelings, alongside the cognitive domain, and also allows room for intuitive, spiritual, and emotional learning. Humanist adult education takes learners as autonomous, self-motivated adults who are able to take responsibility for their own learning. According to Elias and Merriam, there are 7 basic principles in humanism and humanist education. They include: human nature is inherently good, human beings need freedom and autonomy, and the ability to make personal choices to grow. All individuals have the potential to achieve growth if blocks are removed. An individual's concept of self is the root for growth. Human beings have an inherent desire to achieve self-fulfillment. An individual's emotions, feelings, and intuitions are just as important as reason and intelligence and learning, and human beings have a responsibility to the welfare of society. The origins of humanism can be traced back to classical Greece and Rome, but it gained popularity in North America during the 20th century through the work of Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. From a humanist perspective, the learner learns what he or she perceives to be necessary, important, and meaningful for successful growth and development, with the ultimate goal of self-actualization. The responsibility for learning therefore rests with the learner, and they are free to learn what and how they want. The role of the teacher is that of a facilitator, helper, and a partner in the learning process. The teacher is responsible for creating the conditions within which learning can take place. In this view, the teacher promotes but does not direct learning. From a humanist perspective, learning takes place through a process of discovery. Humanists use instructional methods such as group dynamics, sensitivity workshops, human potential workshops, and self-directed learning to achieve their aims. The focus on the learning activities is always on the individual student's growth and development, rather than the content, and on affective rather than cognitive aspects of education. For humanist educators, self-evaluation is the only meaningful test as to whether or not learning has taken place. Adult learners themselves are viewed as the best judges as to whether or not learning needs and interests have been met. As with the other philosophical orientations, there have been numerous criticisms of the humanist orientation. One of the main criticisms is that humanists lacks the accountability in terms of what is going to be taught, what is actually taught, and what has been learned. Humanism has also been criticized for being a self-centered and selfish approach, as it encourages the development of the individual without concern of the larger society. Please reflect on the following synthesis questions. What is the purpose of adult education from a behaviorist and humanistic perspective? What are the similarities and differences between behaviorism and humanism? Are there elements of these philosophies that resonate with you as an adult educator? And do you agree with the criticisms of the behaviorist and humanistic philosophies?